All right, we're going into something totally new now, totally different, something I don't think we've ever really touched on particularly. We're going to talk about what's going on with the CCP and Shen Yun, right? Important stuff. Joining me now is Leeshai Lemish, a Shen Yun MC and China expert. Leeshai, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right,
Good morning.
Shen Yun, you've been involved for 18 years and emceed 2,000 performances. For those that are not clear what it is or why it's important, do tell.
Sure. So Shen Yun is a performing arts company that is based in New York. We are the world's premier classical Chinese dance and music company. And this could only be done outside of China. The company's mission is to show China before communism. The Chinese Communist Party really doesn't like that. It's been trying to stop us the entire time we've been around. We still have 8 companies that tour the world simultaneously. We're not deterred by this at all, but they do cause a lot of trouble.
In fact, a lot of trouble comes in the form of bomb threats, if I'm not mistaken here. Explain, please.
Yeah, we've gotten bomb threats saying that the shows are not canceled. It's actually the theaters that get them. We get them at our headquarters as well, almost on a daily basis in New York. But what's been happening this tour, which started in late December, is about 30 of these theaters where we're performing will get an email in the morning of the show, often in Chinese, saying if Shen Yun is allowed to perform, we will detonate the bombs that we set out throughout the theater, or we've had ones where they say they'll come in and shoot everybody. These are, of course, just scare tactics. They're pranks. But, of course, we take them very seriously, and we have police come over, they report it to the FBI, they look at the theater, bring in the canines. We had one here in Huntsville, Alabama, where we just performed last night. We got another one in Des Moines and St. Louis, all over the place. And we had one at the Kennedy Center.
Wait, there's culture in Alabama? I'm just kidding. Hold on. I'm just having fun with it.
Alabama's wonderful.
Yeah, I understand. Look, Shen Yun promotes Falun Gong, which obviously the Falun Gong has been out of favor with the communists ever since there's been communists in China, basically, right? I mean, they're not embraced. They're shunned. But here's what's interesting to me. China, in all the dynasties and all the the heritage, the history, I mean, there's some just magical stuff there. Basically, they don't talk about that. But a lot of that stuff is just purely off limits, right? I mean, you're not allowed to talk about it in China. You're not allowed to teach it or look at the culture from before 1949, all of that, right?
That's right. And that's exactly what Shen Yun is doing, is reviving that traditional culture. And like you mentioned, the Falun Gong story is a huge part of what we're doing. So Falun Gong became very popular in China in the 1990s. It's a meditation discipline with spiritual elements. Truth, compassion, forbearance are the core principles. And in 1999, the Chinese Communist Party said, look, there's too many people doing this. There's more people practicing meditation than there are members of the Communist Party. This is an ideological conflict. We're going to ban this. And they started persecuting people. And it's been one of the most, people are calling it the crime of the century as far as human rights go. Hundreds of thousands of people rounded up into labor camps right away. People later on being killed for their organs. This is still happening today. And outside of China, like in the United States, people who practice Falun Gong, like myself, said, what can we do to raise awareness about what's happening to people like us in China? And one of the things that some people did, there were these elite artists, dancers, musicians, choreographers, and composers who said, let's create our own performing arts company. We'll put on a show and we will revive traditional culture, the same culture that you mentioned you cannot see in China today that the Communist Party has tried to wipe out for over 70 years. And as part of the performance, we'll have 1 or 2 dance pieces talking about what is happening to Falun Gong practitioners in China and their courageous resistance to persecution. These are some of the most inspiring stories in the performance. And so for these 2 reasons, the Communist Party is very afraid of Shen Yun. First of all, we're showing what China could be like without them and their illegitimacy in a sense. And second, we're showing this human rights atrocity that they're claiming does not exist.
So, so the show must go on, basically. That's what you're saying, Leeshai. You see, the show must go on. You're not being deterred. There's not actually been a bombing or a shooting or anything. A lot of threats.
There's never...
bullying.
I mean, listen, a couple of weeks ago, we were at the Kennedy Center in the heart of the Capitol there, and we got a bomb threat, and they evacuated everybody for 3 hours. We were out in the cold, and there was a huge media hoopla. We had a press conference and everything, but there was nothing. And if they dare to threaten us, and not just the bomb threat, we've had tire slashings, We've had pressures to theaters from Chinese so-called diplomats. We've had spies that have been arrested and are now in prison trying to undermine the company and revoke our nonprofit status by bribing the IRS. We've had frivolous lawsuits, and they're trying to affect mainstream media and like the New York Times and weaponize social media. This is all part of a huge campaign that the Chinese Communist Party is running as part of their entire transnational repression movement. And Shen Yun and Falun Gong specifically are perhaps the biggest or one of the biggest targets.
So it's a big lift, but I give you credit, man. You're in there. You guys are doing it. And so tell me about the shows. Enough about this. Tell me about what's somebody going to see. What are they going to experience? That's what I'm sitting here thinking, you know, we love theater. My wife loves it a lot. And this sounds like something kind of special.
Yeah. So it's a celebration of 5,000 years of Chinese civilization. And it's done through classical Chinese dance, which is an incredibly artistic, athletic, and expressive art form. It's done through beautiful costumes, a live orchestra that combines classical and Western instruments, animated backdrops with a few surprises in terms of their interaction with the stage. As soon as the curtain comes up, you're instantly transported to another world. In some cases, a heavenly scene, in some cases, an ancient legend, a literary classic like Journey to the West, and it goes by very quickly. It's about 20 pieces, about 5 minutes each. People like myself come on stage as an MC and introduce the next piece, give you a bit of cultural background, and get out of the way so the dancers and musicians can do their work. It's a couple of hours plus an intermission, and it's an amazing experience for the whole family. You learn a lot about Chinese culture, and it's very, very beautiful.
So you said you have 8 traveling groups, right? 8 traveling troops.
Yeah, we're all over the world.
How many people in
all
each
over the
troop?
world except about 70.
Okay.
Yeah, about 70 performers. That's a full orchestra, a dance troupe, technical crews, singers, MCs, and then we perform everywhere except for China, ironically enough, and
Well,
we're performing until early May. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd probably throw you right in jail if you performed there, right? They would not, do not pass go.
Yeah. We've had family members arrested in China, just family members of performers, and everybody's blacklisted, we're assuming.
So you said you were just in Alabama. Where else are you on the road in the States where people could say, hey, I want to see this. I want to see what this is all about. Sounds terrific.
Let's see. I think we're headed to, we got Salt Lake City, we got St. Louis, we got Des Moines, we got Birmingham, Alabama, Pittsburgh, Chicago, you name it. We still have a couple months of tour left. So just go to shenyun.com. You can see the schedule there.
Shenyun.com. That's ShenYun, shenyun.com. Hey, I think that's a great idea. I really appreciate you opening up our eyes to some culture here on Friday. Leeshai, I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, there you have it, guys. Look, China has a beautiful history. Spectacular art and culture, and none of it's allowed in China. They're not allowed to talk about most of it. Most of it, since basically anything before 1949, a little bit of it sneaks out, but that's it, not much. And the Ming Dynasty and all those things with incredible culture. Sounds interesting to me. Shenyun.com. You can go check it out and see what's up with that. Sounds like something that Ivy and I would like to do on date night. Hey, it's Friday. It's date night in America. Except I'm going out with Anthony. Well,
bro time.
Different. It's bro time. Bro time, go time on this Friday. Anyhow, we'll talk about that. Ivy's up next. We'll tell you why in a moment.